Women's Health Protection Act. The bill would reverse most restrictions on abortion, restrictions put into place in many red states that shut down clinics entirely. It's also prompted one anti-abortion group to call it, quote, the most radical pro-abortion bill ever considered by Congress.
In just the past 3 years, states across this country have enacted a total of 205 provisions that restrict women's access to safe abortion services.
To be clear and transparent, I am unapologetically pro-life. And while I believe that the life of an unborn must be protected, I also believe that we must do everything in our power to protect any woman who decides to have an abortion, even though I may disagree with their choice.
This hearing follows last month's Supreme Court ruling in favor of Hobby Lobby, saying some companies can cite religious objections and opt out of new health law requirements that they cover most contraceptives for women. Democratic senators are also pushing legislation that would reverse that ruling as well. Both sides see women as a key voting bloc for the November midterms, and the issue could bring them to the polls. Let's frame the debate and hear from both sides of this contentious issue. I'm joined now by Ohio State Senator Nina Turner, Democrat from Cleveland. Thank you, Senator, for being with us.
Thank you. Thank you, Jose.
You've been a sharp critic of Republicans and their efforts to restrict abortions. You made headlines when you introduced what was called a Viagra bill, requiring men to get psychological counseling, among other things, before being issued a prescription. Give us your take on the current landscape when it comes to women's reproductive health.
Well, Jose, the Hobby Lobby ruling was about whether or not women's health care decisions will be second-guessed by their employers. No one would ever think that in this country that after the fight that we have had generationally in terms of women being able to control their own health care decisions, that we would be confronted with this in the 21st century. The question is whether or not women as individuals and employees have the right to control their own destiny, to control their own bodies, to pursue life, liberty, and happiness, or whether or not a corporation gets to make that decision. I think it is dangerous. It's a dangerous path that we're going down in this country right now.
Let me ask you about the debate going on right now on Capitol Hill in the Senate Judiciary Committee. I mean, does it have any shot at becoming law?
Well, certainly the Senate, and I thank Senators Murray and Udall for pushing this, basically saying that no one should have the ability to deter or stop a woman from having that kind of access. In the Senate, it probably will, but not so sure in the House. And Jose, this is about the fundamental pursuit of life, liberty, and happiness for women, for mothers, for our sisters, for our daughters. They have rights too, and they have religious liberties too, and that's being missed in this whole case. And you may recall that Justice Ginsburg talked about, alluded to in her dissent, that this Hobby Lobby decision is going down a dangerous path that will open the doors to more discrimination in many forms.
Ohio State Senator Nina Turner, thanks for being with us today. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Jose.
And now to help us frame the debate from the other side, I'm joined now by Kristan Hawkins. She's president for Students for Life. Kristan, thanks so much for being with us. Let's get your reaction to this bill being discussed in the Senate.
Well, look, this bill is just the Freedom of Choice Act 2.0, and it was interesting. This bill is supposed to, and it's going to eliminate and destroy every regulation against abortion passed since Roe versus Wade in 1973. That's hundreds of laws passed by states across the country that have been set up to protect women from those Kermit Gosnell House of Horrors situations. The senator who is from Cleveland was talking about protecting women. There was a young woman, Lakeisha Wilson, who was just killed in Cleveland this March from an abortion, from her abortion complications. These are why we have these common sense laws. And for the Senate to even talk about destroying all these common sense laws, which a majority of Americans agree with, it's unthinkable. And you know what? It doesn't have a shot of going anywhere. Senator Reid needs to do his job and allow a vote on the Pain-Capable Unborn Child Protection Act, which the majority of Americans agree with, banning abortions when children can be born and survive, and when children feel excruciating pain during an abortion.
Kristan, let me ask you about the Hobby Lobby issue, because the state senator was saying that this is really an issue about the freedom to choose. And the Senate, as you know, wants to push back on that.
This law is not about the freedom to choose. This law is about getting the Senate Democrats to shore up their extremist base of the 9% of Americans, the 9% who believe that abortion should be taxpayer funded and it should be available in all 9 months of pregnancy for whatever reason.
Kristan Hawkins, thanks for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
Coming up, it's hot and dry. We know parts of California are really literally burning.